Joining me now is former Director of Operations of NORAD, retired Major General Scott Clancy. Good morning, Scott. Good to have you with us.
Good morning.
So Trump seems to be very pleased with the progress of the war so far, calling it a 15 out of 10. One thing that's a bit confusing, though, is understanding what Trump's end game is here. Is it still regime change?
So still regime change, I would say. At the beginning, he was very clear, as was the entire administration, on four objectives: the nuclear program, ballistic missile program, their Navy, and then their ability to export terror. Since then, they've drifted off of that. And the comments yesterday with respect to unconditional surrender, which is a ridiculous comment, because there's no real coordinated opposition force in Iran. Therefore, who are you going to surrender to? Under what terms? And the revolutionary people that believe in their regime inside of Iran are never going to relinquish those ideas, even if their government does. So, he's drifted significantly off of them. And that's going to cause him some problems internally, but there's a lack of coherence that adds, because regime change was never the initial objectives here.
So meanwhile, Scott, Israel is seemingly taking advantage of Hezbollah chiming in to finish its war with the Iran proxy, which has been under a ceasefire since the end of 2024. Can Israel realistically do that, or would the Lebanese government need to get involved?
Well, I think especially, based upon the announcement and the press conference by the Minister of Defense from Israel, they would like the Lebanese government to get in to this. But I think there's a real opportunity here. The inability of Iran to support Hezbollah in southern Lebanon right now is significant because of the attacks that the Americans and the Israelis are doing on them. Therefore, their entire supply chain to be able to propagate that conflict is cut off. That's going to limit Hezbollah's ability to be able to support that. However, there are thousands of Hezbollah fighters in southern Lebanon. The ability of the Israeli Defense Force to get into the Bekaa Valley and into southern Lebanon and push out a determined defensive resistance of Hezbollah is going to be very difficult and very costly. But I think they're using the cover of this U.S. and Israeli campaign against Iran to resolve that problem significantly. I would also say that they're probably doing the same kinds of things in the West Bank as well, to be able to get on with things that they've wanted to do for a while with respect to rooting out the fundamental opposition to Israel in southern Lebanon and the West Bank.
Absolutely. Lots going on over there. And there's generally a lot of elements and players in this conflict in general. I want to talk about Russia's reported involvement in this. We're hearing that Russia may be sharing intel with Iran. What kind of escalation could that signal?
So I don't think it signals an escalation, because Iran and Russia have a military cooperation agreement. Funny enough, you could make a case that one of the things that might have precipitated the U.S. Taking on this operation is that Russia was very clear in the fall that military cooperation agreement did not compel Russia to come into the side of Iran during a military campaign of the United States or someone else. But this was a foregone conclusion that Russia was going to be sharing detailed intelligence with Iran. As a matter of fact, I think that one of the goals of Iran's retaliation against the oil production capability in the Gulf region and the blockading of the Straits of Hormuz is all about drawing in China and Russia to this conflict. But I don't think it's going to happen. Russia is in no way wants to elevate in there. But the question would be, yes, they're providing intelligence. What's next? They can provide resources through the Caspian Sea directly to the north border of Iran with unfettered access. So, it's not going to limit itself just to intelligence support. What's next that Russia supports them with?
All right, Scott, thank you so much for helping us make sense of this.
You have a wonderful day.
You too. That is retired Major General Scott Clancy, former Director of Operations for NORAD.